Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Andy Clements and welcome to another episode of the Muscle Building Mastery podcast. I'm really excited to have you guys here. First of all, if you're wondering why I'm wearing these weird orange glasses, I invite you to go back and watch the episode 19 of the Muscle Building Mastery podcast, which is called How to Cure Insomnia, and all will be revealed on that podcast. So I'm not going to address that on these. I'm just going to let you wonder why I'm looking weird. If you're watching the video, if you're listening to the audio, you don't notice anyway. But yeah, cool. So today, what I'm going to tackle this podcast is if you're struggling to build your chest, then try this, because this tip that I'm going to give you in this podcast, this one little hack I'm going to give you, was so valuable and so important in not only me building my own chest and filling in the weak areas in my own chest, but me helping literally dozens and dozens of guys over a course of about 12 months build their chest and build muscle and strength on their pecs as well. And as us guys, that's like one of the biggest things that we can do in the gym. We want to we go in the gym, want to build a massive chest, right? So this podcast is going to teach you exactly how to do that. Right, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit of backstory about how I found this out. So when I first started training, when I first started going into the gym, right, I really struggled to build my chest. And I think it's because I had like kind of unstable shoulders, which we'll get into in a minute. But I remember I used to smash my chest as hard as I could, as often as I possibly could. But most of the time, because I had them unstable shoulders from like years of bad posture and things like that, most of the time I just kept injuring myself, right? And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't seem to grow. Like, when I was not injured, I couldn't seem to grow my chest. And not only that, but like every couple of months, like I was doing like injuring my shoulder. And you know when you get that thing when you can't like properly twist your neck to the side, you know, when you're driving in the car, right? And you're trying to look left and right to check the traffic. And because you've done your shoulder and you've done your trap, like you have to turn your whole body to like, like it's like weird. So I was having that like every 2-3 months, and I just couldn't grow my chest, and I was so frustrated with it all. And I can remember at this particular time, it wasn't that long ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, me and a friend of mine, we used to train together all the time, train together every single session, and we used to try all sorts of stuff to try out to grow our chest. I can remember this one particular time, right? We tried this thing called a marathon chest workout, and it was from a guy called Jamie Alderton, and I don't have anything against Jamie Alderton. I think he's a cool guy, and I've learned a lot from him. But this particular workout was like insane. It was ridiculous. It was like I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like 1,000 reps in the workout, right? It was just like way over the top, because our answer to everything was, rather than to actually look at what we were doing, it was just to do more and more and more, right? So this was perfect for us. It was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So this is what we ended up doing. It's like a marathon chest workout, and it was like something stupid. Like, I can't remember exactly, but I think you might have done like 10 sets of 10 push-ups, or 10. You might have done something like 10 reps on a push-up, and then you'd rest 30 seconds, and then you do 20 reps on a push-up, and then you'd rest 30 seconds. Or maybe the other way around, like pyramids, you know what I mean? So like 50 push-ups, and then 40 push-ups, and then 30 push-ups. And then you do the same on a flat bench press, you do the same on an incline bench press, and a decline bench press, and cable flies, and it was just like outrageous, right? It was just ridiculous. So that's what we did. I can remember it took us like 3 hours, and we don't think we even finished it, because our chest, not even the chest, but the shoulders and the triad, it was all just blowing up, and it was ruthless. So that was the kind of stuff we used to do. I just want you guys to know that the lengths we used to go to try and grow our chest. We were not like uncommitted. We were very committed to growing our chest, and we were trying everything we could think of, but we just couldn't grow our chest. And me especially, like my training partner kind of had a little bit more success. I think maybe he was doing things a little bit better. It's genetics, and we've all got weak parts and strong parts, and I think maybe he was kind of more of a strong part in his chest, and I was a weak part. But either way, I personally couldn't seem to get my chest to respond no matter what I did. And how many of you guys have ever felt like that before, right? When you're trying to, it might be your chest, it might be a different muscle group, but for me it was my chest. How many of you guys have ever felt like you just can't get your chest or any other muscle group to respond no matter what you do? You feel like you've tried everything in the world, right? That's what I feel like. That's what I felt like. I felt like I tried everything in the world and I just couldn't get it to respond. So I really wanted like a bigger, fuller and rounder set of pecs, a bigger, fuller and rounder chest. The only muscle that I'd managed to build on my pecs was like the outside. If you're watching the video, it's kind of like the outside of there. If you're not watching the video, just listen to the audio. It's kind of like the bit that runs from your shoulder down to maybe like your nipple, right? That was the only bit of muscle I could manage to build, and I just couldn't figure out why I could build a little bit of muscle here, but I couldn't build this like inner upper shelf that really makes the difference in looking like you've got a decent sized chest and looking like you barely even lift, right? That's what it is, or fundamentally. So I wanted to sort them imbalances out, and I also wanted to stop getting injured, because these injuries were just doing my head in, man. You know, like if you injure your shoulder, that puts you out of action for your entire upper body. It's not just chest, it's back, it's obviously shoulders, it's arms, everything, and you know, you're only left with legs, right? So, and they take like 3 days to recover at least. So I was fed up, and these were things I wanted. On the inside, I was thinking like, I know there's a way I must be able to do this. I'd found different ways to grow different muscle groups, and I was like, I know there's a way I must be able to grow my chest. There must be something I'm missing. It can't just like, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And like I was thinking like, why can't I grow my chest at the same speed as these other people around me are growing their chest? Because I was surrounded by people sort of around my age, and you know, like between 20 and 30 at the time. It was a few years ago, and there was a lot of guys like training PTs and just random gym goers that I used to know, and they all seemed to be able to grow their chests really easily. They all had way better chests than I did, and I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, God, like these guys don't seem like they know that much more than me, but they seem to be able to grow their chest way easier, you know? And they weren't doing workouts that were that much different to mine either, which was kind of like, I was scratching my head like, what's going on? Like, why can't I grow my chest like these guys? And I was taking it personally some of the time. I was thinking maybe like I'm just not doing things right, maybe I'm not good enough, I don't understand what's going on. So that was frustrating. At the time, I was like maybe 1 or 2 years into my personal training career, so I was quite early on in my personal training career, but I was still a PT, I was still this authority, right, as seen by the general public. When you're a PT or when you're a coach, you're like an authority, right? You're supposed to be the guy that knows stuff about the gym, right? And if I can't get the results in this area, it's making me feel like I'm a bit inadequate. It's making me feel like, damn, I can't figure out how to even sort my own results out. How am I supposed to be trusted by the public to sort their results out? So I was like, I need an answer to this, man. I need to sort this out, not just for myself, but for like my career. So I was getting really frustrated, and I kind of thought more and more of the same stuff was going to be the answer, which is why I was doing things like marathon chest workouts. That wasn't the first thing I tried, obviously, right? But you know, I was desperate. I was like, I'm just going to throw more and more volume, more and more sets, more and more reps, more and more weight. Everything I could think of to throw at my chest, I would throw at it, because I just wanted it to grow, and I was just so fed up of it looking imbalanced, you know? So that was where I was at, and I remember this one particular day after I got injured again for like the millionth time, I was getting really fed up with this stuff. So I was doing some research online, like on YouTube and on Google and on blogs and on like different websites and forums, stuff like that. Which a few years ago, you know, there was still stuff about. It's not so much as there is today, but there was definitely a decent amount of stuff about. And I was doing some research on chest training. And there's one particular video I came across from Ben Pakulski, and I've spoken about Ben Pakulski on the podcast before, on like maybe one of the first 5 episodes, can't remember which one. But I came across a video called, from a guy called Ben Pakulski. And he was like an IFBB pro bodybuilder, right? And he was a really, really smart dude. And he was talking about chest training. And he was saying that the whole purpose of training the chest is to train it according to its function. And its function, the reason we have a muscle on our chest, the reason we have a muscle called the pectoral, is to pull the humerus, which is the bone on your upper arm here. If you're watching the video, you can see me pointing at it. If you're listening, just sort of imagine it. It's to pull the bone on your upper arm from outside your body to across your body towards the midline, right? Which completely changes the game. It changes the mental framing of you training chest. It's not anything to do with pushing upwards. You have to push inwards, and that is the value that changed the game for me. Let me say it one more time. When you're training your chest, whether you're doing a bench press, an incline bench press, a decline bench press, a push-up, a cable fly, a machine press, a dumbbell press, an incline dumbbell press, a decline dumbbell press, whatever you are doing when you're training chest, your thought process has to change from pushing the weight upwards to pushing your upper arm inwards. And that is how you build your chest. Let me just make that really clear. Push inwards, don't push upwards, because that took me years to figure out. When the penny finally dropped, I was like, this is a game changer for me. So not to labour the point, but when you're at the bottom of a bench press, instead of driving the bar up away from you, which is going to obviously drive your shoulder out of its socket and make the shoulder, the front delt work and the tricep work more than the chest, you keep your shoulders back and down, and you think about pulling your biceps inwards, squeeze your biceps together and push the pits of your elbows together. And if you just do that now without any weight, you just drive your elbows together, then that ends up really firing your chest up. And hopefully if you do that properly without even any weight, you can start to feel them chest fibers lighting up and firing up like that, okay? So that's the big key, and that was the epiphany I had. I was like, oh my God, all this time I've thought it was just throwing more and more weight and more reps and more sets and all these different supersets and giant sets and trisets and circuits and all this stuff and drop sets and all, you know, all the stuff that you read about. And it was literally that simple, that little tiny change that I've just told you there, not pushing upwards, pushing inwards. That's what changed the entire game for me, and that's what completely revolutionized my chest training and allowed me to build muscle in my chest. Does that make sense? Have you guys got that? That's amazing, right? That's so awesome. So when I found this out, I was like, oh my God, this is going to change everything. So I was like, I've got to apply this to absolutely everything I possibly can. And I want to make sure that everything I'm doing is absolutely 100% correct on chest. So every single exercise I could possibly think of on chest, I did it, and I applied that type of thinking to it. And to make sure I was getting it right, I stripped like 80% of the weight off, right? I stripped 80% of the weight I was doing, every single exercise off, to make sure I was doing it properly. And I finally started to feel my chest. I finally started to feel it lighting up. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can actually feel my chest. But because I stopped lifting like a man and I started lifting like an 8-year-old schoolgirl, because I stripped all the weight off the bar, I wasn't actually growing. I could feel the muscle, great, I could feel the muscle, it was contracting, it's there, but I wasn't actually growing the muscle, so I was defeating the entire object of training, right? So growth only actually came when I married up that perfect execution that I'd learned and learned how to feel and contract every muscle fiber in my chest with the training I was doing before, which was the intensity, the hard hitting workouts, which was the strength and the real intense heavy weights and stuff like that. So when I married the two up together, that's when the muscle really came. Does that make sense? Cool. So at the end of it, I felt amazing. I looked great. I got validation in my knowledge as a PT, because remember, I was trying to learn this stuff and teach it to other people at the same time. So everything started to sort of fit together, and you know, I grew amazing muscle in my chest and helped loads of lads grow amazing muscle in their chest as well. Isn't that cool? So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I've got for today. But if you want more cool information on building muscle, on building specific muscles like that, I've got a really awesome course coming out really soon called Training Mastery. If you want some more updates on that, subscribe to this podcast, and you'll get some more updates as soon as I have them available. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a review. Please subscribe to me on YouTube. Drop a like, drop a comment, and yeah, I'll see you next time on the Muscle Building Mastery podcast.